yo, I don't know this dude. Yo, you should take the test. I'm like, first test for what? Like, you know, like the test for what? He's like, the fire department. I said, just like this. I don't know you, but there ain't no such thing as a black fireman. Just like I don't. What are you talking about, firefighter?
Because you're a businessman yourself, and you graduated with a business degree as well, right?
Correct.
Now, I think this is me personally. One of the most interesting things about Mark Carter is he had a very successful career within New York State, right? You were with the state for how long?
2006. Before I left, 14 years.
Right. So there was only a handful of years before you can retire, you get your pension, and you're now doing things that you love. But Mark always had a dream, and I don't know when it happened because you can speak on that, but of becoming a fireman. So as some would say, late in the game, at the age of, how old were you when you became a firefighter?
I was 37.
Right. So like, he said, you know what? Yeah, I have this successful career, but it's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. How was it? Because I think it's amazing, right? You end up pulling that plug, making a transition. I'm sure there was a significant pay cut that came along with that decision, right? Going from a 12 to 14-year career now to step one as a fireman, going back to the city that you grew up in, taking all the core values that grandma and the family instilled in you early. What was that like, and how hard of a decision was that to make?
Yeah, what made you make that decision?
Damn, I actually almost forgot we were going to talk about this, right? But it's just
that's the most incredible part about you, because a lot of people aren't willing to take the risk. He's now got 3 kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's not that easy.
Yeah. And he's aging in reverse. Look at him.
Yes, he is.
Benjamin Button.
Yes, he is. Benjamin Button.
I wish it was that way, but damn. When I think about it, it's crazy because you're the only person that actually talks about this shit in this way, and it doesn't get me like emotional. I'm not a big emotional guy, but when it comes to actually my children, that's what kind of like, it was probably hands down the toughest decision I ever made in my life. And I remember the day, and I asked for prayer. I prayed. I kept it a secret from a lot of people, and it wasn't the intention. I just didn't want the opinions that I wasn't asking for. I didn't want to answer questions that I already knew the answers to. I didn't know what came with this. But again, like you said, like the biggest part was, so you have to, it was a storm, 2015, it was a storm. We had a big storm come through, and a guy comes in. We were playing cards. I was at a friend's house playing cards, enjoying some cocktails, laughing. We're playing spades. And this guy comes in like dressed up. What the hell is this dude? God, why is he looking like this? No, it wasn't dressed up though. He was like, which now is a Class A uniform in regards to the fire service and also police, but and anything military based, you're Class A. That means fully decked out in that sense. He comes in and I'm like looking at the dude. I'm like, all right, but I'm paying attention to my cards and my drink. I ain't, I'm good already. So he's like, this girl says to him, why are you so dressed up? I can't remember that. I wish I had seen this guy to this day. Maybe if he sees this interview, he could reach out to me, man. But I owe him. He said, oh no, I just graduated. I'm like, what? You graduated? I'm ear hustling. This ain't my business, but it's my business now. I'm ear hustling.
I like that.
So he's like, yo, I don't know this dude. Yo, you should take the test. I'm like, first test for what? Like, like the test for what? He's like, the fire department. I said, just like this. I don't know you, but there ain't no such thing as a black fireman. Just like I don't. What are you talking about, firefighter? I'm like, but damn. He's like, nah, man, I'm telling you, you'll love it. I'm like, so what? Like, what makes you think that I would love being a firefighter? He's like, yo, you play ball, like you play sports and all that. I'm like, but that has nothing to do with being a fireman. Nah, I'm telling you, man, it's all about, like, you get to still experience and exercise strength and agility and you use your brain. I'm like, it's a lot. He was encompassing with basketball. I'm like, what are you talking, brother? You're supposed to go into a burning building and
everyone's running out of the building and you got to run into the building.
In the building.
I have a visual him backing down doors this way.
But the crazy part about it is I'm not. All of this is going through my head, and it's like you're thinking about cleaning off. I'm thinking about cleaning off my car in the morning. I'm not thinking about like legit. Like I'm not thinking about anything else other than man. I've been at my job at that point in time for 11 years. Like pick up and go. Like no, hell no. But I didn't think about a lot of stuff that comes with it. So he said, look, just do me a favor. Fill out the application. I said, all right, man, no doubt. He said, no, come on, man, do it right now. And I'm like, well, what do I got to do?
Wow.
Like, what is, you know, like.
And you didn't know this guy?
Didn't know this guy from
I kind of
Adam.
like this guy.
This
just
is
comes in
crazy.
and starts calling shots.
He's a firefighter in Mount Vernon. I swear I wouldn't be able to point him out in the lineup, but I swear I owe this dude what now I know, not my life, but I owe him like a hug, a dinner, whatever it is. And
We're sending this to the Mount Vernon
I
Fire.
bet you,
man,
I bet you see someone in the future.
Yes.
And you're like, and
Fill
it
this
just
out
clicks.
right
You're
now.
like, that's the guy.
I live in Mount Vernon, and I don't venture through the city, but I swear I wish he knew me, like by face, just to be able to say I want to say thank you, but to get back to it, I literally fill out the application, and kudos to my good friend Jenna Ferris. I said, Jenna, can you do this for me? Can you help me do this really quick? You know, because I'm like, I'm not interested, but like whatever. And she's like, all right. And then there's $100. It costs $100. I'm like, my man, you didn't tell me it costs $100. You know what I mean? So
He probably got a referral fee.
so it was through the county. There was like so much more to go with it. Dude, it was the last day. That was it. Like that was the last day to do it. And civil service exams don't come out very often.
Yes.
Come to find out now that I'm seasoned a little bit, it's every 3 years. So that opportunity, that window would have closed for me as an older male trying to be a firefighter. I still didn't believe, but it's crazy because he says that was in that moment when I went, that then became my dream because I looked at it and I said, I got to go do this now. Because he saw something in me. I'm one of those people like, you meet people say, oh, we met by fate. Nah, I was there at that moment for a reason. Mm-hmm. Now I know what it is. That's why this part of it, and again, people know this story a little bit because they'll ask me how and why. And I have no experience in that field, which I didn't know you had to have. He didn't tell me that. That's why we got to have a conversation because he didn't tell me that this was like butt naked, raw, rookie. You know what I mean? Like I don't like we talked about before. I don't like doing things I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I didn't know a lot of this stuff that comes with it. You got to be. I got to go back to school. I had to literally like. So I don't want to jump too far. That happens. That first year, after the results come back, I get the results. I don't know where I rank, right? Like I don't. Okay, I did well. I got like I don't know. I think I got 90 or 95, something like that. But again, don't be confused. This is legit.
That's my guy.
Nah. This is legit. No disrespect to the fire service. It has nothing to do with fire. The test itself had zero to do with fire. I took the exam. I said, I'm person, my retention with certain things, if I don't have repetition with it, like it's not going to stick that much. So it was like, what do I do with this exam? Do I need books? Do I got to study? And I'm like, Mark, don't drive yourself crazy. Like you're going to go in and take this exam and whatever. It's snowing again the day of the exam. I'm like, this is some bull. Like this is.
What do you hate snow?
It's funny that snowing on the day of the exam, but it was a beautiful day, but it started to snow. White Plains High School, the line. And I'm discouraged now a little bit because people are showing up in their firefighter garb, right? Everybody
they were probably volunteers. Before.
I didn't know. Again, I'm not thinking about
Gotcha.
this. Like, right? I'm not thinking about volunteer departments, career departments, combo department. None of this now. All this lingo that I learned later on, I didn't know anything about it. I'm like, I got no chance. These dudes been doing this like for a long. There's no chance, but I'm gonna go do this. I sat at my current job at the time before, 2 days before, and I took practice exams. I'm like, no disrespect, this isn't that bad. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. This isn't that bad, but I'm like, this is a trick. I'm gonna go in here. They're gonna start asking me questions about fire stuff, and I'm gonna lose. I practiced the wrong way, but again, it was legit like common knowledge stuff. Right, it was like if you ever, I never took one, but
I've taken a bunch of
like IQ tests, like one of those
civil service exams. Yeah.
In one of the episodes, he asked a question that was on one of them.
Yes.
Do you remember any questions? They're very fun to do.
You know, it was the funniest part was, and I tell everybody just to give them the basis of what it is. It's like two cogs in a machine. One's going clockwise, one's going counterclockwise. Okay, if this is going this way, which way would it be turning this one if it was incorporated? I'm like,
the opposite way.
What? Yes. So I'm like, duh. You know what I mean?
David's
but
like,
again,
what's a cog?
I didn't even get the question, and Mike already had the answer.
But again, it was like, I don't know if there was a time limit on it, but you know, you were allowed to calculate. It was like taking the SAT again, and I'm like,
What, did you just have to pass? Like, was it just a pass
no, you get a grade. I don't know what the
And then you
failing
get
was.
ranked.
no idea.
though,
You get
with
ranked.
thousands of people
Yeah,
take
you
this
get
exam.
Oh, gotcha.
You get ranked. So you're in a classroom, and
Oh,
it's
so you
like,
had a score. Oh, got
Yeah.
it.
and so there's that one guy. Hopefully he don't got the job. I don't know who he is. Hopefully he doesn't got the job, because he went in there and like legit, like, you know, you're looking at the clock. It's always when you're taking an exam and it's like, all right, you know, it's a proctor. You got 20 minutes. And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this dude is done in 5. And you're like, man, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There was no like
Yeah,
time
so
bonus.
I'm one of those guys. I go back. I'm checking to make sure my check is right. I'm making sure every
Everything is
circle
filled
is
in.
closed in so dark. I don't want to give the
Scantron.
Scantron any reason to misgrade it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, you know, I graded well when it was all said and done. I was so nervous and anxious because I kept this a secret. So I'm like, if I do great, do I tell anybody? If I do bad, what's next? I was so embarrassed because I didn't want people not knowing that I wasn't educated in this area. And two guys that I leaned on throughout the process was Jenna's brother, Dan Ferris, who's now a coworker, and Mike Vigiano, who's a coworker as well. Kudos to those guys, because they told me, like, look, man, if you do get on, this is the greatest job in the world. And I'm like, the greatest job in the world for me was making it to the league. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you guys, there ain't no way this is the greatest job in the world. But nonetheless, there was a lot of, they try to catch you slipping, right, with the canvas letters. So as the canvas letters, you know, these letters are coming, you have to say that I'm still interested in this job. And it happened much sooner than I expected. I take the test in 2015. I'm now being interviewed in 2016, right? But I didn't know. But they were, yo, man, I don't know where you are on the list, but, you know, here's what's going on. They might be hiring soon. Make sure you got your canvas letter. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
What is that? Am I dumb for not knowing what that is?
A canvas letter is basically your interest. Interest
Gotcha,
letter,
gotcha.
And they
basically, right?
basically follow up with you, and they do
Yep.
this all throughout civil
try to
service.
catch you.
They try
Yeah.
to take this list of thousands,
Yep.
and a simple thing of not responding to a canvas letter by the deadline takes you off the list.
Yes, sir.
So they try to identify as many people as possible that are not interested anymore to condense the list.
Yeah.
Right, and then as it gets to that 3rd year mark, then they have a new test.
new test.
So,
So
they
you're-
just keep
you're gone.
filtering. Yeah.
No
so
wonder I
they're gone
never
at this
made it.
point
In,
in
I never responded to the
Yeah.
canvas letter.
these letters, like you want to be president.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So it was like, but I never, the first canvas letter, the word discouraged, or like a big hell no, was the salary. It doesn't show you, you know,
big
you
hell
don't
no.
ask some dude at work like, yo, man, what, I didn't think there were levels. I thought you went in there and boom, you're getting paid big money, I guess, wherever it was. But I was told, like, look, man, firemen, you know, firefighters make good money. I'm like, but that wasn't my drive. Like, that wasn't my reason for doing it. I embedded in my head, like, this is what I'm gonna go do now. Like, legit, it's gonna happen. We would be out meeting people, like, not meeting, hey man, who are you? Like, what do you do for a living? But people would be like, oh, what are you doing? Dave would, you know, at the time he was just working with the county and all that stuff. And then, you know, once he got on here, he remembered this. But I was always, he doesn't know this part. Oh. I would tell people I'm a firefighter because I never wanted to tell people that I worked in, where I worked within like IT. I didn't want to tell people that because everybody wants to get into well, what do you do in IT?
Right.
If I start telling you, like, that's going to lead, I really don't want to talk to you. No disrespect, but I don't want to get into that part of, like, I'm a firefighter. You know what they do.
Self-explanatory.
You know,
yeah,
you know what they do. We don't need to have a further conversation. He was like, yo, you always telling somebody you're a firefighter.
I would have a follow-up question though with
Sure.
firefighter. No, that's what if you said that.
What do you
to
do?
me-
You fight fires.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty simple.
No, but I'd have follow-up questions. I'd be like, you know, have you broken doors down? Like, I'm very
No,
curious.
but it's funny. And so that part I kind of know, not getting into details of it, but yeah, he really started to, from what I see, manifest it like, and it was obviously backed by action because we always talk about it. You know, you can say like, yeah, things are gonna become a reality, but if you're not doing things to take those steps, it's not becoming a reality.
Yeah.
He was saying it to people like, yo, I'm a firefighter. I would look at him like, did you just say that you're a fireman? Right?
Well,
Sometimes I was a pilot. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
what's
like
the scenario?
one of those. Then they're like, I thought pilots can't have beards. I'm like, yeah, I'm on vacation. No, that long of a beard? I don't know.
But mind you, it's funny he says that because I'm telling people I'm a firefighter, but my beard is out there. You know what I mean? So it was like,
Your beard's gonna catch on fire.
Very
Another
funny.
thing.
I'd be a good firefighter. Can't grow up a
Mike, I didn't know that you couldn't have a beard.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Again, hostage to hair. Beard became
perfect. Fireman.
It worked.
Some would say.
I have
it
like
does work.
Like my head looks good. Bald.
Aerodynamic.
Yes, it does work
Like,
for sure.
Yeah, so it was hard. Like,
Yep.
I was telling a lie, and somebody could have caught me on it. What if I met another firefighter and my beard was out there?
Yeah.
Where are you a firefighter?
Yeah.
Right. Well,
But you weren't lying because you ended up being a firefighter.
Yeah, man.
and how wild is that though? Looking back on it, but
Remember what you did with this?
What?
Remember we were at Pizza Place and you were like, yeah, we run a podcast.
Oh,
Never
yeah.
recorded an episode.
Yep.
Never even knew the name, nothing.
Wow.
Yep.
Got a guy's card after we
And he
had
was
dinner
like-
and the guy's like, whenever you want to record, come here.
Yeah.
And he was talking like it was already done. So
That's dope.
Yeah.
there's something to it.
Yeah, there's
That's
definitely something to it. But I think it's obviously the most important thing is back it by the action. We wanted to take a quick second to let you guys know that we've partnered with our good friends over at Orgain.com. We're happy to offer our listeners 30% off by entering the code NOSNOOZE30. Back to the epi.
I'm a
I do
billionaire.
have to know though,
Sure.
when you then got on, because I remember a conversation we had, he texted me, he's like, yo, bro, this is like a McDonald's paycheck. I don't know. No, seriously, right? He's like, I don't know how I'm supposed to, how anybody expects you to pay your bills and support your family being a fireman. Like most people, I guess they do it at 20, 25 years old. I don't know. He's like, I just left a full-blown career, six-figure career, like, pension, all that. And now I'm making, what, $40,000 now to start? Right? Is that...
I will speak clearly into the mic.
You got that
The
radio
canvas
voice,
letter
too.
came and it said you start off at $33,296.
See, that is incredible.
And I said, nah, maybe misprint. Right,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not thinking
Like, did you
about.
forget a zero?
I don't know. I don't know what a $30,000 check then. Right? Like what? Wait.
I don't live a 30,000. Honestly, like how can you
No.
sustain
You
your
can't-
life?
It's hard to move back.
Man,
Yeah.
Right?
So everything came like it,
and that's
it was,
where I need to hear this. Go ahead.
It was hard. It was when I looked at it. I went to him, but before this, when I started seeing it, like on paper, you then try to figure how. I don't know taxes at $33,000. I don't. You know what I mean? I don't know the effect, and I'm like,
Yeah.
with all due respect, there are 18-year-olds that are making more than me, straight out of high school. No disrespect, their first jobs. I worked at BJ's. I did worked at BJ's. That was my first job. So am I like, you're trying to figure out an hourly rate? How is this going to work? There's no overtime, but
Benefits?
yeah, but he had great benefits through the state.
Amazing benefits,
You know what I'm saying? Like he had all that.
everything was in line. But
Give you a lot
the
of credit.
No,
I would have been like,
it's wild.
See,
And at
I was
36
earlier
years
on.
old.
Yeah.
I'm going through this, but I'm still, when it first came, I'm 35 at the time, and I'm looking at it, and then it started getting real. The interviews are coming. I'm not telling my family. I'm like legit going on interviews, like suit. I had to leave the suit in the car because if I went to the Power Authority with a suit on, they're like,
Okay.
where you going, boy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I didn't know a good time. I didn't know how serious to take it. I went for the first round. I didn't get on. It was 2016. I'm like, all right, well, maybe that wasn't my time. Two coworkers that are with me now, great guys, it went in the year before me. No, I'm sorry, I lied. It was 2017. That's when everything started going. But I took the test in March. The results came back 2015. So 2 years before the canvas letter started coming. It's now late 2017. Oh no, so yeah, late 2017, and the canvas letters start coming again, and it's like, hey, you, are you still interested in the job? Like a phone call comes down. I'm like, what? Like, whoa. But I already, again, I'm like, now it's going to be real, because there were the guys like, all right, those other two guys actually got on. So I went already, and I'm like, not just, I thought I killed it. I thought I killed the interview. I thought I had the first time around, I thought I put myself in position, being from Peekskill, talking about what the city means to me, which it does, is like near and dear to my heart, because I wouldn't be who I am without whatever Peekskill brings. Like anybody in Peekskill knows, they'll understand where I'm coming from. It's a place where you build a lot, right? It's not a big city where you can get lost in. You shouldn't get lost in Peekskill. It's not a White Plains. It's not a New Rochelle. It's not a Mount Vernon, right? It's what, I think 4.3 square miles, something like that.
Yeah, that's
right?
crazy.
And it's wild, but it's a great place. It's like kind of one of those where everybody knows your name, cheers kind of things, right? Depending on what you do. Mm-hmm. So again, that my passion for it came home. A part of my drive, which at the time it gets me super emotional, right? Because my grandmother and what she did, like for the city, for the community, that became to be something that was so moving for me, and I had a why now. So I didn't want to lose that. And I'm like, I'm not gonna fail because of you, Gran. Well, I called her mom. I'm getting this now. Like I don't know what I did. I would love to find out what I did wrong the first time around, but it doesn't matter now. But I knew I had to go get this, and that was my calling. But the money part, I think that was superseded by my why, which was giving back to the community. Not thinking, you mentioned in your great intro, in regards to me with being the second African American ever hired. In the department.
Which is wild before you go there.
That's pretty crazy.
Because Peekskill in itself.
Who's number one?
Hakeem Odeyande.
Are we sure?
But
because I'm
absolutely,
it'd be great
he's
to be
my coworker right now. You hired
I was going to say it'd be great if you were the one.
But like, I would
more
be
publicity.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I'm shocked if I were to hear that in another municipality or town or city. Knowing Peekskill, I mean, you would say, is Peekskill heavily populated by African Americans, Hispanics over, the Caucasians? I'm just confused as to how, when I think about it, I'm like, everybody I personally know from Peekskill, the majority of them, right? Not everybody, but the majority of my friends from Peekskill are African American. So how is it that there hasn't been an African American firefighter or one of them in 200 years of the existence? That's crazy, an incredible thing. It blows my mind.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. This wasn't the thing, man.
It's wild.
It just wasn't. It wasn't.
Maybe the opportunity was never even a given. I don't know.
I read a book called Firefight. A friend of mine, a former coach, he mentored me slightly through the idea once I told him that what was going on, because he was coaching when I was with the Westchester Hawks before I became the PSA. He's currently a New Rochelle firefighter. I love saying people's names. Rashawn Krabby Young. He said, "Yo, Mark, you got to go get it. You
Great
gotta
names,
do it,
by the way.
Right?
Krabby.
Right?
Krabby.
Everybody knows him as Krabby. And Krab sent me this book. He said, I'm going to send you something. He sent the book. And I actually failed the test reading that book because I wasn't paying attention to what I should have. But I'll get back to that later.
You reading the book during the test?
No. I didn't pay attention, but I was so caught up in this book and the history of what was when it comes to African Americans or minorities in general, just being in the fire service. It was crazy. Now it's based out of New York. The book it's a true story. Like, it's real people, right? But it brings you back to the days of, it was during segregation when blacks were first originally allowed in, and it was like they weren't accepted. This guy, they would sleep, he put him in the boiler room, there was hazing and all that stuff that went on, and it was crazy because I'm like, damn, man, there's history when it comes to minorities within the fire service, and nothing against it. It was heavy Irish and Italian, which I got Irish and Italian, my best friends, excuse me, my best friend is Italian, right? So again, it's like my best childhood friend is Italian. So there's no racist bone in my body. It was just you never paid attention to it.
To the facts that were there.
Facts that were there. It's just what it is. It was a heavy dominated by white Americans. It is just what it is. And just how they say, sometimes they like, the sanitation is the Italian guys. Like it was like a thing. Like you don't see many black garbage companies. It's like it's just what it is.
I never even thought of this, but yeah.
But when you think about it, it's just certain areas in life that aren't pursued by the minorities. Whether you're accepted or not, it is what it is. But you see gradually now you go to Mount Vernon, there's black firefighters everywhere. Yep. You know what I mean? So when you think about it, in the city that I grew up in my entire life until my mid-20s, you never paid attention to someone making a career out of this wasn't the same color as you. And it was like mind-boggling once I did it. And now that became a part of my why. I want to be visible to the youth. I want to be something where they can say, this is a route that I can take to go do this. And what better place to do it but in your hometown? Like this was my calling. I may not be the best firefighter known to man. Like I'm never going to be as good as a firefighter I was in basketball. It's not something that you just practice every day because it's an exhausting job.
Unless you're a pyro, right?
It's an exhausting job.
Start a fire, put it out. Start a fire, put it out.
But again, and you think about the work that it goes into this. I didn't know, Mike. I've never been challenged. I've been through basketball training camps, football training camps, because I played both in college. I don't know why I did it, but I went back and said, you know what? I'm going to play football too. Bugged out, just did it, whatever. But it was a great time. But nonetheless, I've been through both of those in the heat, basketball's inside, right? And you gotta, it's not, you don't need to be, what's the great runner, Prefontaine. You don't need to be him to be a basketball player, right? It's truly like a sprinter sport, right? And if you're in some sort of shape, you can get it done. Football, a little bit more of using a lot more body parts and stuff like that. You have the restraints of equipment in football, but by no means does it compare to what you go through right across the street, not across the street, but over this hill over here in Valhalla. And to my uneducated self, when it came to the fire service, I think I was embarrassed. I said, yo, I didn't know you had to go to an academy. It's like, I thought once you got the job, you got the job. So I'm like, I'm going to do this. But again, it's crazy because I was training. I thought like, all right, you have to do an endurance test. Yeah. I trained for it the first time. I'm like, if I get on, I'm going to kill this thing. They caught me off guard. Yeah. I just started to, start hanging out, not working out as much. And January of 2018, I had to go and take the CPAT, it's called. I almost died.
That's the physical piece, right? That's the physical piece to it.
But again, you see it on TV.
Called me right after.
On YouTube. You see it on YouTube. And I'm like, what, man, come on, man. Yeah. I can do this without actually being in shape. I'm good. But you think in your mind, it takes days to actually get in some type of shape. The first time around, I'm like, I would have murdered the test. I would have probably set a record. Like, I was that prepared. I was legit in the gym on the Stairmaster with a 75-pound weight, straight bar on my back, walking. And I'm walking on the Stairmaster for 10, 15. Now I'm up to 20 minutes. I'm like, breeze. There's no running. I'm good. So you got the vest on. I hydrated, I stretched, I'm dead last. So I'm watching people, right? I'm watching people, and we're across the it's not a gym, but they do it in a big garage right over there in the county. And I'm watching people, and dude, you're seeing people kill it, And then you're seeing guys that get up there and took it for granted, and they didn't get off the stairs.
Yeah, you see,
dude, they didn't get up. They didn't make it off the stairs.
What
man.
is it? An obstacle course thing?
It's an obstacle course.
Yeah.
But
So is it a stairmaster?
Now it's fire
then?
stuff.
Got it.
It's legit.
You should bring
Stairmaster.
Mike and I through it. Just
I'll die.
right?
I'll die.
But the dude,
I did that with a Tough Mudder once. I just rolled in. We drank the night before.
And
13 miles in a mountain. I couldn't walk.
You're
for 2
crazy.
weeks. I finished though.
Yep.
Took me like 3 hours.
That's what it's
but I
all. Hey,
finished.
that's the thing.
I was dying.
So I'm nervous, but now I'm last. So all eyes are on me, man.
Yeah.
But I'm like, all right, it's either because the guys once you were done, you leave. So I'm like, damn, I watched the guy before me. He actually ended up being my my classmate. I was 3 guys before me. I remember, and I told him.
Well, everyone was before you. You were last.
Yes. But I was just watching. But you remember that I told him, I'm like, this dude, Mike Thiel, my dude, man. He goes through it, and he's a bigger dude. Like he's not. You look at him, he's not. Not in shape. But he little Gordo down bottom, and I'm like, all right. I used him mentally to say, if he gets through this, ain't no way I'm not getting through this shit. This dude again, and my other guy, Aubrey. He's over in the town of Marinick. He's a firefighter over there. He went through it. He's a bigger dude, short, little, right? Aubrey knows my guy, but he's out of shape, right?
You're killing people right
He's
now.
going through it.
The roast.
So now they like, Carter, I'm stretching. Getting everything ready. I got on that Stairmaster. My mouth got dry. My legs felt like I didn't know if I had legs anymore. And it's not your normal rate of stairs. And you got 75 pounds of weight vest on you. So it's undistributed weight throughout your body that you're not used to. I don't got like ankle weights on and the vest. It's the vest, and I'm like not used to this, but it wasn't a simulation of the bar because I didn't do the bar in almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
I slacked off. And I'm going, and I'm like, oh, shit, this is not going to work. And you're allowed to touch. You got to do it for, it's a total of 3 minutes and 10 seconds because there's a 20 something. There's like a warm up, and they're not counting. I'm like, this is easy, but you're literally walking the steps like a senior citizen. Like I don't know what the level it's on, but it's too slow.
Yeah.
Right, but it
makes it harder.
And I got size 13s, man.
You're just going on size.
Yeah, you don't want to kick it. You can't touch the rails. So you can either they tell you can cross your arms, you can grab onto the vest, but then you're thinking about balance. So that whole part of it is like, this is awkward. No, who walks the steps like this? And you don't want to look like a marching soldier. Like you want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would march soldier it.
Dude, you get done. And now you step off, and I'm like, now it's a time limit, right? You literally, now when you get off, you have 2 minutes and 50 seconds to finish the entire course. And my legs, I didn't know where they were. My body was moving, but my legs, I don't know where they were. So you can't run, but you can do this one kind of like a sprint, like a fast, a walk sprint.
I wish we had the footage.
Yeah, dude, you could do a walk sprint like to the next piece, and you're pulling hose. I've never pulled a hose before, man. So again, I've never done anything. I've never raised a ladder before. I've never swung an axe before. This is all of this, and then you got to go into this dark U-shaped obstacle course where you're blacked out. You can't see. I'm 6'2" again. There's all types of, it makes you get down. You got to climb over. I bang my knee. So it's the last part of it where you're pulling what they would call, you're pulling ceiling. Like it's a part of it, or you're pulling and poking, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have to unhook, and now you're pushing. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Gotcha,
so again, I've never done this shit before, so it's driving me crazy. But I'm like,
You never had a loud neighbor?
yeah, that's it. But you got to go into you're going into a slot, right?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
gotcha.
Like
So it's precision
It's an actual,
too.
yes. There's
Yeah,
an
it's a
actual,
skill.
there's an actual machine for it, and I have what we would call a 6-foot hook. I have it in my hand, and I'm like, this is not something that I'm used to. Please don't mess up. The time is in my head, and the dude said, "This is where I almost lost. There's dead weight, 150-pound dummy." Dead.
Casually throwing that in
dead,
there.
right? You got to do that, and you got to drag the dummy. I think it's 50 yards and back.
Dave's done that to me before.
So you thought about those times when you've been drunk before?
Yes.
And it's like, yo, you think about dead weight? I'm like, this is
It's impossible.
This is
Dude,
dead
Especially
like,
150s. Like,
but they
that's a
tell
lot.
you can lift them, but I'm not in that type of shape to be lifting no 150 pounds. But I'm taller. So he was like, the dude was telling me, he's like, yo, it might be easier for you because you're already there. So when you stand the mannequin up, like you can just carry him. I'm like, the last thing I want to do is end up on the ground. This mannequin on me. Mark, just do it. So I'm like, I seen one dude do it with one arm, like legit, like he just muscled it. But the resistance on the ground, 150 pounds, you like, so the last part the dude said to me, you might want to hurry up. So now I'm like, but again, I made it. I never asked my time.
You didn't want to know.
I called him and my father at the time and I said, what the did I just do? I sat there and they're cleaning up the whole place and I'm looking around like, I hope they don't ask me to leave because I can't yet.
Move.
Like I can't yet. We've all respectfully been bad drunk. I've seen you. I've seen you. And whatever that, whatever that is, like whatever that feeling was, you know, the next morning when you wake up, that recovery.
Yeah, you're like, I'm never doing it again.
Yeah, it feels like you ran an obstacle.
Remember Ben was explaining to us like that feeling from COVID? Like him, you know, and I'm not going to put his business, but like he was like, yo, I went through, this is the feeling. And I'm like, I felt like somebody just, I'm dead. I'm dead. But it was, they make sure like you're hydrated and stuff.
They actually check your heart to make sure you're still breathing.
But you know, the crazy thing is, if I would have prepared myself, it would have been easy because after going through the academy for 3.5 months, you then have to do the test again.
And you've done the skills.
Bro.
And now
it's not even, screw the skills. I'm in shape.
So it was more of a shape
I'm in
thing.
shape. My heart never beat that fast in a long time. So it was dope, man. But yeah.
Wow.
It got me all excited to wear like a weight vest.
That was an incredible walkthrough.
I'm gonna start poking ceilings.
I don't know if people are gonna be scared to now become a fireman because of
no, that's good. Like I
always
always thought like, oh, they have some type of obstacle course or something, but to hear the stuff, it makes sense. It's like things that skills and type of, there's different types of shape. And that's like a different type of.
And it makes sense because like you have to do
shape,
things like that to prepare yourself for when you're in a fire. Right? So it's like all mock simulation that they do. I remember there was one story he said, and we'll keep it quick, but he was like, Dave, they made me go through a 12 by 12 box.
Oh yeah, I'd get in the middle.
He's like, I'm a big dude. My shoulders, the width of my shoulders are bigger than 12 inches.
Like,
12 inches?
Yes. How am I supposed to get through that with equipment on my back?
You're a house guy. You had to go through. You know,
that's my slogan. I'm a house guy.
I'm a house guy.
Mike the house guy. But, so what is they 12-inch studs?
Yeah.
We got to go, dude. You gotta bust the sheetrock down, right? But again, that was it was more or less. It's called masked confidence. So the first time you do this, you can see. The second time, you're blacked out and you're on air.
Get it? Masked confidence.
Right, masked confidence.
Masked.
So now you're when you put your mask on, they put like the tissue paper in there,
doodle paper.
So the good thing is like, all right, man, it was like when we first did it, it was cold out, so you're not sweating, and you just wanted to see so bad, like you just want to see, and I'm like, I thought I said, you know what, the third day, first of all, the first day of PT, I said, they're bugging. I gotta raise my hand. The academy humbles you. I'm 37 years old at the time, going through this, and I gotta ask another man, may I use the bathroom? You shit me?
Literally.
Yeah, literally.
Sir, you know what I mean? Carter, yes. Can I use the bathroom? And then
your name's perfect for like a movie too. Carter.
So many people say that too, man. Like your name, Mark Carter. You sound like you should have been like in office. I'm like, nah, politics is not my thing.
Hey,
but I got to take Dave there, right? I have to take Dave respectfully to the bathroom with me because we have a rule in the fire service: 2 in, 2 out. Right? I can't go in a house. You don't go rogue. God forbid something ever went wrong. You have somebody with you. Yeah. So it was a humbling experience, not knowing about the academy, but it's paramilitary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, we walk in. You know, if Claudio walked in and he has what they call bars, Claudio walks in here, you got to salute. You know what I mean?
You got to get Claudio some bars.
Yo, it was legit. Officer on deck, and at ease. I'm like, what?
I heard Dave does that in his office.
He does it all the time. But again, man, it was definitely something where the process was humbling. I think I needed that going in because you have a better respect for the job. And there's no amount of time that could ever prepare you. That's why they tell you in the academy, stay in your training and revert back to your training. And how would you do that if I took the time back in 2018 and said, you know what, I haven't taken a class in 15 years. So we still go, we train at work, whether it's visual or doing stuff hands-on. You have the opportunity to go to the county to train. So it's dope, man. It forces you to stay in shape.
Do you think if you knew of all this stuff you had to do, you still would have made the decision?
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good.
You know, I asked this because if I knew how hard real estate was, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Seriously. Sometimes the naivety is.
I got to give kudos, and I promise, you know, when I thought about it, right, I'm not a, I don't, nobody knows this, but I cried at the time, and my two oldest, kudos to them, man, great kids, stinking twin.
Great names.
I accepted the job. They didn't know it. No. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was like on the eve. I had reached out to them because when I first told them, like, it was a potential of it happening, they were no. And who does something, right? If your kids tell you don't do it, nah, we don't. I always
were they scared? Is that why they said no?
Scared to death. Like
because
they don't know.
Yeah, you don't think about that.
They don't think about what is this job? What are you doing? What is it? You know what I mean? Like, what does it entail? So like that part of it was like I didn't even know. Yeah. Which is a gosh damn shame. Yeah, I'm gonna go be a firefighter. But if they ask me what does it entail, or Dad, you got to go train to learn this job, or I thought you go and train right in Peekskill. And when you're ready, yeah, you're good. Like, I didn't know that.
Fire alarm goes off, you show up.
Right.
Every day, Monday through Friday, I'm at Valhalla, at the fire training center. Great people over there training. But
called Fire Fit.
Yeah. So I had prayed, like legit prayed to my grandmother, asking me, because like that $33,000 thing. I said, tell me, show me, give me something. You know, like she's always given signs, and I didn't think that I would have made it that far without the opportunity of the sign. And my grandmother's the only person that can really get me like emotional. But when that day when I spoke to my kids and they said no, I said I got to make this decision without them, which sounds crazy. You know, my dad had knew about it at the time. You know, I told my family, like, this is what I'm gonna go do now. And I remember that my kids had this is the part that fucks up. I think that they called me and they said, Dad,
you're good, brother. Take a minute.
They said, Grandma Pearl said it's all right. Like, you're gonna be okay. And you know, they signed off on me being a firefighter, man. And I never felt so good about a decision in my life. And God damn, I hate telling that part.
No, man, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing, man.
Wild.
You know, they were so excited, man. And
that's a beautiful thing.
And I never asked them, right? So it was like they never met my grandmother.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's
they never. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know. Honestly, I'm looking at you.
I gotta pray to her and be like, "Hey, Grandma Pearl,
you almost gonna make me cry, bro. Come on, man.
Come on.